Hey, what's up? Uh, Posting a video now about what happened this weekend, the unfortunate outcome to the main event for the UFC Fight Night, Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad. Um, I wasn't intending on staying up late to watch that fight. I wasn't too impressed with the card, apart from maybe one other fight. But yeah, if you watched it, I mean, surely if you follow the sport, you've seen the result and maybe replay by now. Um, yeah, it's crazy. An eye poke disqualification. So I'm gonna weigh in on this, and that's pretty much what this video is. Um, I lay the responsibility on the UFC, and the reason is either way I look at it, any way I look at it, it's really their fault that this unfortunate thing happens. Number one, eye pokes have been, a problem that's plaguing the sport for a very long time. And the glove question to say that, oh, well, why don't they just upgrade the gloves in a way that um, makes it more unlikely to poke someone's eye? Now, that's easier said than done. I mean, because what you have here, you know, MMA is not just about the glove as an impact tool. Okay, that glove needs to also be able to work with your hands well enough that you can grapple and grab someone's wrist or, you know, lock someone's leg and go for a takedown or whatever, things like this. Um, so the thing is, maybe it could be that the gloves are minimalist to be able to balance the ability to use them as for striking and also to not, how do you say, deter the glove or deter grappling with the glove. You know what I mean? Uh, so perhaps, I mean, I'm not really a product designer, so I can't really tell you how a glove will should be. I'm sure there's better designers there who can come up with better improved design that could with enough testing, with enough yeah, you could come up with a glove that doesn't impede on someone's ability to grapple and wrestle and do jujitsu. And at the same time prevent or make it more difficult to do an eye poke. So that's a very, I don't know how much money the UFC is putting into research and development for their gloves. I don't know if that's something they're not even thinking about, or maybe it's something they have a whole team of people on the payroll that's sort of researching this stuff. Um, I really don't know the situation, but something has to be done about the eye pokes. So whether we can blame the gloves or not, I'm not going to blame the gloves, but that's still, if that's the case, it's the gloves' fault, then that's the UFC's responsibility. They need to come up with better gloves, right? And the next thing is that, and the reason why I say it, either way you look at it, it's the UFC's fault. I believe that eye pokes need to have a higher consequence. I believe that illegal strikes need to have a higher consequence against a fighter who commits those acts. Because when you say, like, look, I normally strike like this, and if I, have to keep my hands closed all the time, then it's going to affect the way I strike. Well, look, that's a lie. I strike. I've struck with gloves, and it's not really that big a deal. And if your hand is not closed when it's landing on the opponent's face, or even, then you're not striking correctly, I think. That's at least my opinion. Uh, I think the eye pokes are totally avoidable. Um, I'm not going to speak to whether Edwards intended on poking his eye because it wasn't really a strike that poked the eye. It was more of movement of a hand as he was sort of um, he threw a body kick. And when you kick a ball, just like when you're about to hit a ball with your foot for a football in football, for example, when you take a penalty kick, for example, you'll see that the hand kind of goes up as your leg is swinging towards the ball. It's similar with a kick. So you're kind of swinging your arm to as almost a counterweight to your leg to generate more power, right? So it's the hand that was swinging that hit him in the eye. And if you watch the replay, you might have seen that. So I don't know if Edwards, these are very skilled fighters, and surely he could have perhaps seen Bilal Muhammad coming at him, and with knowing that his hand was up there, maybe moved it 2 inches down towards his face and kind of caught him in the eye. And maybe he thought that wouldn't stop the fight, but would obscure Bilal's vision for the rest of the fight. I mean, that's possible. I'm not accusing him of doing that. I'm just saying that it's possible. Like these you could be so experienced in fighting that you see these opportunities to do small things like this, even though you're moving so fast. And I don't know whether Leon Edwards is the kind of fighter to do that. I mean, I don't think he's a dirty fighter. He never struck me as that. Seems like a guy who relies on his skill and honorable guy. He doesn't talk too much trash. He's easy to talk to. He's not arrogant. So it doesn't seem like his character. I would actually, if you ask me, to judge, I would say I don't think it was intentional. But regardless, I mean, the fact that something so simple as an eye poke or a groin shot or a shot to the back of the head or hitting the person while he's grounded. These things can affect the fight so much that and they're cheating shot they're cheap shots. They're not allowed basically. So if you do them, you're cheating, right? Um, I feel like this should be something that, depending on the outcome, if it's something that significantly affects the fight, whether it's intentional or not, the person should be disqualified, and the win should be the person who was subjected to the cheating strike. I don't know. I feel like there should be a rule-based approach to this that discourages people from, you know, whether they're doing it intentionally or just because they're lax and not thinking about it. Maybe they should start thinking about it. Maybe they should start making sure their fingers don't land. If you're just, I guess, positioning a jab or sort of like faking, there's no reason for your hand to be, you know, open. Honestly, you could fake and with a closed fist, or you know what I'm saying? Like, look, this is a professional fight, and I guess you want to feel like you're in the flow, but look, you can't cheat. Even if you say, look, if you're saying that to spar like this, with your hands open like that, while you're fighting someone, to sort of throw your hands like that is how you're comfortable, then look, man, you got a bad habit, and that threatens your ability to win the fight. Because if your habit, right, of throwing your hands like that, whether you're faking or throwing an actual strike, hits your opponent in the eye, you could lose the fight just for that. So I guess it's up to the fighter. I leave it up to the fighter. So it's is it you're gonna argue that that's how you fight, like you like leaving your hands like this so when you strike. I don't know whatever the excuse is for people saying that I don't poke people in the eyes, but the reason why maybe I would is because I like leaving my hands open. Whatever, dude. Whatever the reason is, like I feel that shouldn't be accepted. You know, you should be skilled enough to be able to fight with your hands closed if you need to. Or if you want to keep them open, you should be skilled enough so that when your hand lands on their face, they're closed. If you can't do that, then you're not a very good fighter, I guess, because you're depending on cheating. You're depending on your hand, I don't know, 5% of the time hitting someone in the eye, and that's cheating. So I don't know. I don't really have much else to say. I'm not saying that this fight should have been, uh, you know, a win for Balal, but I feel like if they're not gonna do something to the gloves, like a change that would fix it, then they gotta make this more. They gotta make the weight heavier for people who commit things like this, especially if it's gonna stop the fight. I mean, look, it's not Bilal's fault that he got poked in the eye. I mean, the guy couldn't see, he was bleeding out of his friggin' eye, dude. How many times have you gotten poked in the eye and it started bleeding? I mean, if you're watching this and your answer is yes, I'm sure it hurt like a bitch. Never happened to me, thankfully. I've gotten poked in the eye maybe 100 times, maybe 100 times, but it's never bled like that. So it looked pretty bad. Um, so I can't really blame Balal. I mean, it is slightly Edward's fault because it was his thumb that landed in his eye. Should have been more careful, I guess. But honestly, I don't think it's fair for the fight. I mean, it's just unfortunate, because Leon Edwards was winning the fight clearly. Um, for as far as it had gone, I mean, it was a one rounder pretty much. Second, would you even count the second round? But yeah, so that's my opinion. I'm not so sure how when people talk about the gloves, I don't know if they realize the magnitude of what they're asking for. And there has to be a balance here. They have to be able to improve those gloves if they can without impeding on someone's ability to grapple. That's my opinion. And if what they have is actually the best balance for both, and it is what it is. But I don't know how long they've had this style of gloves and for what reason it is this style. And what was it before this style? I remember before, like people didn't even need gloves. They had different. There was one guy with one boxing glove in there long ago in the UFC. But obviously now they've standardized the gloves. I don't know when. I kind of have an idea when that happened. But what was the first generation glove? Is there a first generation? What was it? What's the second generation if there was? I don't know this stuff. So um, it's certainly something I'd like to look into. And if you're watching this video and know the information to that, I mean, please share it with me in the comments. I would really like to know what you hear about what you know about the gloves. But yeah, so that's it. That's my opinion about this whole situation. It's really unfortunate. The UFC needs to do something because at the end of the day, this was a main event that that didn't really happen. It's a shame, man. If you actually paid for tickets or if you paid for the fight, you kind of feel like you didn't get your money's worth. And unfortunately, that's either because the gloves are that a company decides to use, a promoter decides to use, is not the best gloves that they can have, and totally they can afford to change that. It's either that or it's because the rules are just um, not set properly, I think. Uh, so that's my opinion. I hope they do something. I hope they do something because eye pokes are annoying. I mean, even me when I think about whenever my first fight's gonna be, um, I dread the idea of getting poked in the eye, and I've heard stories. I've heard stories of people who got it really bad. You know, to be honest, like when I when I saw Bilal Muhammad screaming, holding his face, I was afraid I was gonna see a Oops. I thought I was going to see, an eyeball hanging out of his face. So thankfully it didn't. Um, but yeah, that's it. So yeah, thank you for joining me for this video. It's about 15 minutes in. That's it for that topic. I'll be posting more videos throughout the week as usual. This weekend, we got Kevin Holland and Derek Brunson fighting. It's going to be a good one. And yeah, thanks again, and I hope you have a good night, day, morning, whatever it is where you are. Bye bye.